All right, so we'll just wait for everyone to come in, first of all. Everyone had a good day, guys?
Yeah, great.
Always a good day.
Yeah, you all been working today?
Yep.
Yeah, clinic
End of
days
week.
for everybody. Nice patients.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all right today. Yeah.
Good. No, it's been a bit rainy here. It's not the best. So I'm
Oh, it's
hoping we're
been
going to get some
horrendous
sunshine
here.
over the weekend. We need it's been really windy. I don't know if anyone saw, but there was like a ship that got like blown over in Edinburgh, like a proper
Really?
full-size ship yesterday because it was so windy. I think
Blimey.
everyone's okay, but it was a bit scary. But yeah, it's been a bit mad here with the weather.
Gosh.
Right, so we'll just let people come in. Where are we now? 7:31, so we'll just give it a wee second. So everyone, welcome to another NSK Ikigai webinar. So tonight we are delighted to be joined by the lovely Jocelyn Harding, Jules Fisher and Yvonne Sullivan, who are going to talk us through their career journeys and career pathways that they've taken, all very different and all very interesting. This webinar will be recorded, it'll be available on demand, and you will receive a link via email at some point tomorrow or after the weekend that you can watch back if you wish. So I think Jocelyn is going to go first for us, yes? So I'll let you just share your screen and you can get started.
Right, okay. Okay, so thank you very much to Ikigai and Siobhan and Lauren for looking after me tonight. I'm hoping you can all see my presentation. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Lovely, smashing. So I thought I'd share my journey from 1984 to 2023. I promise this is not going to be like your holiday snaps and you go, oh my gosh, she's going to go through all those years. I promise I'm not, but I thought I'd just give you a brief overview of where my journey's gone, and it is not what I expected at all. I thought back in 1984, when I did my work experience from school at a dental practice opposite, that I didn't know really what I wanted to do, but when I sat in the dental hygienist surgery and I sat with that lovely lady, Becky, I was like, this is what I want to do. And she was a dental hygienist in the Navy and she'd just completed 9 years. And I kept in touch with her ever since. And I blame her for everything because it was her fault that this all started. So the dental practice there said they were going to take me on when I finished my O-levels, as they were at the time, but that didn't happen. So I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? So I ended up working in the solicitors, I ended up working in the land registry, but I'd had my name down with the Navy careers office to go on and be a dental hygienist, but to start as a dental nurse. So I had 2 weeks notice. They said, Jocelyn, you were sitting down, well, you've got a slot, somebody's dropped out, would you like to join the Navy? Yes, okay, let's go for it. So that's where my dental nurses training started. So 1984, then moved on to, oh, is this going to move? No. Oh, right, here we go. Right, so I joined the Navy in 1987 and I completed 9 years. Well, when I started in 1987, I thought, God, never going to do 9 years, that's forever. They're old people, you know, but actually I ended up completing 9 years and that's what I did. And I met some amazing people on my journey and it was just brilliant. Started as a dental nurse, did my training at Aldershot as a hygienist. They thought I was quite old when I went for the interview at 21 and then went on to do my 9 years. Mad, isn't it? But in those 9 years, I've made some very good friends and I still stay in touch with an awful lot of people. After leaving the Navy, I worked in the NHS, general practice, private practice, and more recently I had 2.5 years in Maxfax in our local hospital. So it was good to get this experience. And I think with moving around with the forces, it makes you quite adaptable and you can just get in there and you're either going to get on or you're not going to get on, or you have to learn quick, or you're repeating things that you knew and you're like, I've got this sorted. So it worked out okay. So I've been very lucky with who I've worked with over the years, but this is where it all started in 2016. So I went to a presentation at one of the dental shows and there was my lovely actual local restorative specialist giving a presentation. And I'm one of those people where they say at the end, is there any questions to ask? And I go, it's me. I want to ask a question, please. So I was asking about how can we look after the mouth care of these head and neck cancer patients that she was talking about? How can we look after these patients when they come back to us? in general practice. And she was like, well, the information's out there. And I was thinking, well, it might be out there, but I can't get my hands on it, you know, and this is really important stuff. So I had a head and neck cancer patient, still have a head and neck cancer patient, which is what drove this. So I connected with her and I said, I've got an idea. And everybody around me goes, oh God, Joss has got an idea. This is going to end in tears. Anyway, so yeah, got an idea. So I wrote to her and I said, I've got an idea. I want to create a leaflet with all that I know about products and different things that I've learned. And she went, no, you can't do that. It's got to be evidence-based and you can't create a leaflet. And I was like, okay. She said, but I'm not piddling on your bonfire. What you need to go and do is write an article. So I went back to my boss, who's Eva Rosvadoska, and I said, I've been told to write an article. This is a girl who took 3 goes to pass her English O-level. And I was like, I can't do this. And she's like, yes, you can. I'll help you. And off you go. Let's see what we can do. And I was like, okay. And it was really nerve-wracking. I mean, imposter syndrome, like off the wall, you wouldn't believe. But she really, really supported me and mentored me. So actually, it became 2 publications. It was over June and July in 2016 in the Probe. An enormous piece. There was so much to write. But I'm super proud of that. But that's what started the ball rolling. Now, I have certain characters around me who say that actually, okay, so you've written, but people are going to want to hear about you. And they're going to want to hear you, Joss. I was like, oh, no. So this is where it continues. So in 2018, I was lucky to be a national award winner for Dental Hygienist of the Year and also the Philip Shinon winner in 2018, and that took me to San Francisco. I went with 3 other winners. 2 of them had also worked in head and neck, and we had a riot. It was absolutely brilliant. I was there to be educated, so I did go to the conference, and it was great. But 3 days, I mean, no sleep, but it was great. And I learned a lot from those lectures that I heard there. And it was great to be invited to do that. I've been published in dental and medical publications. Medical publications, I mean, that is something I just never thought would happen. So again, another piece about mouth care, cancer patients. I mean, they accepted the pieces. They do need a lot of work, trust me. I don't just do this stuff and it just happens. You know, there's a lot of people and lots of batting backwards and forwards, but I'm happy with that. And it was great to see it in the British Journal of Nursing. In the Probe Awards 2020, I was a finalist for the Charity Initiative category for my conferences, which I hold. So Talking Mouths, Talking Cancer Care conferences. I love these conferences because I usually have 6 speakers, medical and dental professionals, and I always have a patient that speaks. My first patient that helped me was Roy Anthony. And if you don't know Roy Anthony, if you haven't heard of Roy Anthony, if you haven't heard him speak, you must hear him speak. He's a dental hygienist. He's had head and neck cancer and he's still on his journey. And he says yes to me. He's crazy. I always say to him, if I send you an email, just delete it. I'm a clinical ambassador for the Mouth Cancer Foundation. This is an amazing charity. Your practices should be involved with this. There's going to be a lot going on with the charity in the next few years, not just for November for Mouth Cancer Action Month. There's a big collaboration of lots of head and neck cancer charities because they all do something different and they're all driving to help support professionals and patients. So please look at the website. There's lots of free downloads on there. I'm a UCOMIC team member, so United Kingdom Oral Management and Cancer Care Group. You know, lots of professionals from all over cancer care. I'm one of the few dental professionals on there. I love it because I learn from them and they learn from me. So I was able to squeeze into the publication some evidence-based guidelines that we all know all about and delivering better oral health that they didn't know about. So I was able to crowbar that in there. So that was good. Part of gov.uk, so this is the Oral Cancer Working Party with delivering better oral health. I was pushing for aftercare guidelines because it's mainly aimed at early detection and prevention, massively important. But I also want to try and get aftercare for us. We need guidelines, even if it's best practice. I would like that for us so people can go to that document and say, okay, right, you're going to be high risk for caries, you're going to be high risk for perio, you're going to be this. What do I need to do? Or what can I do to the best of my ability? You know, because these patients vary hugely. Part of the FDI consensus group. So this was enormous. You know, I don't know why this happens to me, but it's just great, and I'm lovely, and I'm lovely. I'm very lucky to be involved in it, and I can't say no, so I'm rubbish at that, I have to say. But it's lovely to be involved in all these things, and just to give a little bit of toothy love out there, you know, because we know so much. We're amazing professionals, and people need our knowledge because they don't know an awful lot about the mouth. So studying at the moment, about to finish. My dissertation will be in next Friday for my MSc, which I'm studying at the University of Kent in Advanced Specialist Healthcare. This is the most amazing MSc, I think, because it's wider. I didn't want to do something dental. I wanted to do something wider. So it's GPs, physio, speech and language therapists. Everybody's got like an itch to scratch of what they want to change. So my research, I've loved my research. It's been very interesting. So hopefully that will be published. And I'm very lucky to have been awarded the Ikigai Oral Hygiene Community Recognition Award. I was just thrilled, absolutely thrilled. So thank you so much for that. But as I say, I went back to 2016. And why? Why do we need to be looking after these mouths? Well, this is what could rock up at your surgery. And how do I look after that? I'm not a dental therapist, but we need guidance and we need help with these patients because it isn't just the mouth. These patients have massive psychological journeys and we need to know how to protect ourselves as well as looking after our patients. So you may well have a mouth that looks like this, but you can look after them. So this was the leaflet that came about. So initially it was created with myself and Brush Up UK. This is the most updated version. It's just a lovely free download. It's got everything in there, short and sweet, lots of options. I don't get paid for any of this, you know, but I think it's important information that should be out there. So the leaflet then grew to the website. So this is my friend, you see, Jules, you need a website. No. Anyway, I created a website. So on there is the downloads, on there is the resources, because you have to know what you're reading and where it's come from. And to be fair, most head and neck cancer patients or cancer patients, they don't care if things are evidence-based. They will buy something from the other side of the world. If their best friend said it works, that's what they'll do. So I think as professionals, we need to guide our patients and know a lot more about what's out there. Then I got up on stage. So yes, this was my first presentation in 2017. I was absolutely bricking it. But I had my lovely husband and my friends there. And, you know, nobody left. Everybody was asking good questions and I kept time. Hopefully I am now. But it's just so interesting to be up there. And yes, it is nerve-wracking, but it's good to be out there because if you're not out there and saying something or doing something, it hasn't happened, you know. So I got up there. Next thing, well, this is the biggest whopper that happened. So my peer-reviewed textbook, I love this book. I can't tell you how much I love this book because I've read every single chapter, every single word. I've written one chapter myself that's on mouth care, but these 49 chapters written by 56 contributors who didn't delete my email, who did say, yes, during the middle of a pandemic, why would you not want to write a chapter about your topic? Because I don't know about your area of expertise. And pass it to me and, you know, we'll put it together as a book. I love the book. It's purple. I love the book, but it's just powerful. It's got patients' journeys in there at the back of which Roy Anthony, Debbie Hemmington, Shrenik Shah and Steve Baker are in the back there. You must read the whole book, but you must read their journeys. And its royalties go to charity. £10,000 worth has been sold already, so that means there's £1,000 that's gone to charity already. I'm blown away. This only went on sale at the beginning of January. It's been reviewed in Australia and New Zealand. It's been reviewed in America. I personally thought it might go a little bit nuts here, but it's gone nuts far, far wider than that. So I am super proud of this, and I have to not be embarrassed because I get embarrassed when people say you're amazing, it's wonderful. And I think, no, I have to stand up and say it is amazing because I have to stand up there for those amazing people that contributed to the book because they said yes. They'll never say yes ever to me again. I know that. But I love this book. It's not cheap. It's £80. So a lot of the universities are buying it. A lot of the hospitals are buying it. So you can get chapters from it. You can do whatever you like, share it with friends. I just think it's a lovely book, but not just for dental hygienists, dental therapists, it's for the wide community. So I love this book. I'm studying my master's at the University of Kent. I love my master's. I'm loving it. I'm a bit stressed and I've got piles of books next to me here, but I'm so pleased when I get to the end of it. I never thought I'd ever do anything like this. So don't ever think that you can't do something. And even if a door isn't open and somebody says no, I would always say there's another door to open for you. So hopefully, I don't know how much I rabbited on there. That's a thank you very much for listening to my journey from 1984 to 2023.
Thank you so much, Joss. It is 7:44 on the dot. You did a very good job of keeping to time. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So we're going to take some questions at the very end. So we're going to let Jules go next.
Wow. First of all, I feel a bit like the poor relative after all that, Joss, because I've not got a PowerPoint thing, and basically I've not done any of that. So my name's Jules Fisher, and I became a dental nurse in 1989, I think. So, you know, kind of a long time ago as well. But then I kind of much the same story initially. So I fell in love with the hygienist that I worked with as a dental nurse. She was so passionate, and she was such a lovely hygienist. And I thought, so I didn't even know hygiene was a thing at the time. And I kind of thought to myself, wow, I want to do that. I want to be that person. So then I moved to Aldershot as well, actually, to do the last 12-month hygienist course in the country. So I'm from the Wirral, which is kind of Liverpool, for those of you who don't know. And I moved down to Aldershot, didn't know a single person, I didn't even have anywhere to stay that night. I just kind of thought, I'm going to wing it and I'm going to do it. Absolutely, it was the best 12 months of my life. Came home, and I've pretty much kind of worked in NHS and private practice ever since. I've not done anything else. So I've kind of worked in a few different practices over the years. I've worked for different periodontists and implantologists, and I've just worked for, you know, your run-of-the-mill commoner gardener at NHS practice as well. So I've seen kind of a range of patients, but nothing kind of as specialised as you, Joss. So yeah, when you were talking about imposter syndrome before, I was thinking, good God. I think when you look up imposter syndrome in the dictionary, there's my little face kind of waving to everybody. So yeah, so basically, you know, kind of direct access became a thing in 2013, and it was something that I'd kind of always toyed with. I'd always kind of, in the back of my head, I'd always kind of quite liked the idea of kind of setting up a direct access practice. But obviously, never been given the opportunity, you know, to do that before direct access. And so then I kind of started getting quite a few referrals when I was working for other people, and patients who I'd seen previously and moved practices, they wanted to come back. So I started thinking quite seriously about it. And one day my husband just said, right, come on, let's go and find yourself a practice. So we went out and got in the car and we drove around, and I was thinking, this is mad. Anyway, we ended up buying this derelict, rundown newsagent shop. And again, thinking it was a brilliant idea, and everyone's looking at me as if to say this really isn't a brilliant idea. And we renovated it, and we've now got the dental hygiene studio. We opened the doors officially in 2019 in the August. So I think we had 6 months of trading before COVID hit, and then we were closed for 6 months. So my husband used to laugh and say, you know, kind of, how many 20 odd years you've been qualified, and now's the right time to set up a practice, you know. So but you know, as with these things, you know, kind of it was a weird time for everybody. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Patients were kind of up the wall. Nobody knew kind of what we could do and how we could do it. But as with all these things, you know, kind of we just kind of pick a path through, and one step in front of the other, and here we are kind of almost 4 years later. So initially when we set up, I literally just used to do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I still worked in 2 other practices so that I had a bit of an income. Because obviously, because we set up a private squat, which we were starting from 0 patients. We didn't have a practice that we'd kind of purchased. So we purchased their, patient kind of goodwill. So it was a bit scary kind of opening the doors that first morning thinking, oh my goodness, is anybody going to come? But yeah, so I still kind of worked into private practices. And I got a lot of support actually from the local area. And yeah, the everybody's really nice. And like you say, Joss, I think kind of if you ask for help, people actually give it you. They might not give it you again, but actually, they do actually, kind of want to help and they want to see you do well. So now kind of fast forward a few years, I'm still working 6 days a week, but I'm still working 6 days a week for myself. I've now got 2 other hygienists. Well, one's a therapist actually, April and Trish, they work with me as well. I've got a set of lovely staff. I've got a receptionist and I've got a couple of nurses, and it's absolutely brilliant and I absolutely love it. We set up the EMS we kind of went down that route. So I wanted to kind of do a bit more kind of guided biofilm therapy. I thought that really kind of floated my boat. And yeah, we just kind of, kind of one patient at a time, and I think the whole COVID thing actually was a bit of it was actually quite good for us as a business, because obviously people were really struggling to get into their dentist, and then when they realized that we were actually, proper professionals, and we did the same thing as the hygienist in their practice, and so I remember somebody saying to me once, you just do the polishy bit, don't you? But I've got gum disease, I need to see a proper hygienist. And I was like, yeah, we do that too. So I think it's kind of almost 10 years on from the first direct access thing. It's kind of, I think patients are getting their head around it a little bit more now. And yeah, and it's just really good fun. I've got loads of practices locally who refer to us. So there's a local specialist referral practice, and I used to work with a couple of the dentists there through working in private practice with them previously. So they refer into us because I've worked with them previously and we've got good results and stuff. So and yeah, we've kind of grown, and it's just really good. So I think I never, a bit like you, Joss, I never imagined that kind of I would be able to do that when I first sat in that hygienist surgery, and kind of, because she was married to a dentist and it was all about the dentist practice, and sometimes I kind of do think to myself, actually we've done all right, so yeah, so it's direct access is a thing, and it's only going to get more kind of popular, and I've got lots of hygienists and therapists kind of messaging me all the time saying kind of, oh, I really need to pick your brains about this, and I really need to pick your brains about that. And I just love the idea that we are slowly taking over the world, I think us girls, well, not just us girls, but us hygienists and therapists. And I think it's only got to be a good thing. And I actually can waffle on forever, so I am just going to stop right there and give Yvonne a go.
Thank you, Jules. I think you're probably going to have a lot more people wanting to pick your brains after tonight, but we'll get some questions at the end. You all ready, Yvonne? Are you good to go?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. I'll just let you share your screen if you can.
Yep, perfect. We just.
Perfect.
Okay. I'm going to mention 3 courses that I have done this evening and what I gained from them both professionally and personally. I completed my diploma in dental hygiene in 2009 in the Dublin Dental Hospital. After I qualified, I worked in a periodontal practice for 6 years. But a few years after qualifying, I was always looking to do a degree. And, you know, maybe once or twice a year, I'd go down the Google rabbit hole of searching for a degree. And anytime I found something that was of interest, I had to have a degree to do this degree. So then I would give up. And in this periodontal practice, as I say, I was there for 6 years, and my employer was talking about retiring. And I had started looking at my day list, and I was either dreading the mouth that was coming into me, or dreading the personality, or sometimes dreading both elements in the one patient. And I just thought, you know, I really don't want to be managing all these people by myself after the periodontist retires. So I handed in my notice. I gave 3 months notice. I had no job lined up. I had no real idea as to what I was going to do, but I just knew I needed to step out of that pressure. Within a month of handing in my notice, a dental hygiene tutor role was advertised. Now, these are like gold dust jobs in Ireland that they never come up. So I decided I would apply for that job. And also I heard of a general dentist who was moving practice. They had never had a hygienist before. So it was going to be a blank slate. So I just thought I'll go for that. And I was lucky enough. I got offered both positions. And I had inquired previously about doing a master's in teaching and learning, a third level, but at the time I wasn't able to do it because I wasn't in a teaching environment. So I then I just contacted them once I got the job offer, and I said, look, I'm doing 1 day a week, will that suffice? And they said absolutely. So I began the certificate. It was online, and although I enjoyed elements of it, there was a bigger side of it that I found more difficult to incorporate into the clinical. So what I discovered at that stage was that, you know what, if I'm going to study at a higher level, it'll have to be in something related to the mouth and clinical for me to be able to absorb. So I stopped after the certificate, and I still went looking for the degree. Was always in the back of my mind. But at this stage, I was 3 years into my general dental practice, and I was just finding that a percentage of the patients, they just weren't as good as I was expecting them to be every time they came back in. And I kept thinking, what is wrong with these patients? And, you know, it was kind of a slow drip feed realization. And I was at one of Siobhan Kelleher's conferences in Limerick, and Ian Dunn was speaking at it. And he was saying that they do an assessment first, and then they do oral hygiene. They assess the patient 6 weeks later. If their oral hygiene is up to scratch, they begin treatment. But he mentioned and showed these pictures of a patient who cancelled their 6 weeks appointment, showed up 12 weeks later, and the images were just, for me, amazing. There was, the tissue had all shrunk back, there was subgingival calculus exposed, the bleeding had reduced down, and I just sat in the audience and I was like going, it's not you, it's not your patients, it's you in the practice. I had started working harder in the patient's mouth, and I'd be saying to them, right, this is spick span now, so you get in there, you keep this going, and everything will be fine. I had lost my value in oral hygiene, but more importantly, what I realized was I had no skill in behavioral change. And when I was thinking about it, I went from college into a perio practice, and in my opinion, 90% of the patients that show up for a consultation with the periodontist, they've already decided to change themselves. And then the periodontist does the rest of the behavioral change. They all come into me motivated. If they ever fell off the wagon, I just say, oh, listen, this isn't looking good today. I might have to call the periodontist in. And you know, the patient will be like, no, I'll get back on top of this. I have this. And then I went in. So I don't even know if I ever even had the behavioral change skill. So I decided, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to put value back into oral hygiene. I had seen Victoria Wilson speak at a tutoring day I was at in Weybridge, and she's absolutely brilliant. She was talking about her podcasts and that she runs a 5-week course to help people launch their own oral hygiene idea or project. And I thought, this is exactly what I needed. I needed some guidance as to do it, because you know how we're all so busy in practice and you can't press the pause button to think, never mind, change how you're doing things. So over COVID, I listened to all of Victoria's podcasts, and absolutely, as you have both already said, like, we're an amazing profession. What people have achieved, you know, dental nurses, hygienists, therapists, dentists, they've either changed their path slightly or greatly. And I was just so inspired that you don't have to be, you know, just to scale and polish. You can kind of take back control and change what people, being the dental team or the patients, expect of you. So I did Victoria's course, and what I learned from it was the importance of community and learning within a community, the support that you got from Victoria, the resources that she has, but not only that, the people. There was a dental nurse in the course with me, there was another hygienist, and they're so generous with their information and their time. And it was lovely to be around all of that. But the most important thing I learned was that barriers aren't a bad thing. Previously, I used to think if you came to a barrier meant, you know, it wasn't a good idea, just give up. Whereas Victoria taught us that when you're thinking about your idea, you also need to think about the barriers. So if you hit that barrier, it's not a big kind of knockback. It's like, okay, well, we thought this might happen. So instead of going this way to the path, we'll go that way and we'll eventually get around. But I was still looking for my degree. I started making changes within my practice. Victoria still offers weekly support to all the cohorts that she's ever taught. And again, that community is really important. And occasionally I get a newsletter from RDH Under One Roof, and this university was advertising a degree completion program for 6 months. But at the time I thought this was America. I thought, what good would a degree from America be for me here? And you know, it cost $4,000 for what? And then a few months later, I was reading an article in the BSDHT that Alison Brown had written, and it was about doing a self-exam for oral cancer. But at the end of the article, there was a bio, and she had actually completed this degree. And I just thought, oh my word, like if she's done this and she's in the UK, maybe that's something that will be recognized here as well. So I sent her an email. I didn't know Alison at all. And I just said, look, I'm just inquiring about this. I sent the course information to Ailish Duffy, who I was working at the time, and I sent it to another colleague to say, look, can you just look at the content of this course? Give me any questions that I should ask. And Alison put me in touch with Tim Eves. So I asked Alison and Tim Eves all of the questions. They all came back, and I decided that I would do this degree. I did it over 6 months. It was one night a week. It was Sunday night at around 6 o'clock. There was a hygienist from London, a hygienist from New York, and a hygienist from Canada. And Linda Douglas was our tutor, another fabulous hygienist. Very kind, again, very generous with her time, and the amount of resources, what I learned about our professions in different countries. For the first 3 months, you do just assignments and reading. You hand the main or email the main kind of at the end of the week, and then you chat about them on the Sunday. And then the last 3 months, then you're working a project. So you do a 3,000 word project, and you're to choose an oral health project or issue that you feel is an issue within your practice. So I chose gingival recession because I think the messages are so mixed when it comes to gingival recession. You know, a patient leaves the dental surgery and the patient comes in and says, oh, you know, I was told to be really careful with that and get a baby toothbrush and, you know, just be very, very gentle. Whereas in a periodontal practice, you know, we're more gung-ho about recession. It's like, well, if you don't keep it clean and healthy, you're going to lose it. So I picked 2 patients who were previous perio patients because they're already motivated, but yet they'd still come in with recession areas inflamed. So I wrote up my project, but what I found really interesting is when you actually look at the research, it's actually quite vague regarding recession. Everyone makes a presumption that recession is from trauma, but there's many reasons for recession being there. And regardless of the reasons for the recession being there, it still needs to be kept stable and healthy. So I completed my degree and got my degree. And And what that taught me was, because I was wondering, would I be able to first study online? Am I good enough to get a degree? Because I did struggle with the certificate in teaching and learning, and I absolutely loved it. I learned how to read articles properly. I learned how to write properly, and it's just given me confidence to go on and do a master's, which I haven't decided yet what to do, but you know, I'll enter it, you know, knowing the confidence that I've gained from this course. So, and I know the others have said it and they've said it other weeks, but I am a strong believer that the universe plays a big role in the paths we take. I know for sure that if I hadn't handed in my notice all those years ago to my periodontist before she retired, I know that I wouldn't have applied for that dental hygiene tutor role, because I was in a constant state of stress and worry in a periodontal practice. I would not have been able to sit down and edit my CV, never mind go in and do an interview. So anyone out there who was thinking about doing something previously, or they feel they hit a wall or got a no or a barrier, as I've said, that doesn't actually matter. If you're still passionate about it and still have an inkling to do something, just go and do it. I've reached out to so many people within our profession and everybody always gets back to you. And it's an amazing what people know, because you know, you might say, oh, I really love to do that course, but you know, 60% of it I'm not interested in. And then someone might say, well, do you know what, actually there's a course that does 100% of what you like, so maybe you should go for that. But you do just need to take the step and be brave and go do it, because when you're learning and changing your path about something you're passionate about, you know, it's just enjoyment at the end of it. And I think that's it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Yvonne. That was great. So we'll take some questions now. You should all have a wee Q&A box somewhere on your screen that you can pop some questions in. And let me have a wee look. Kat's saying well done. Amazing to everyone. We'll just see if there are any other questions. I have a few questions that I've jotted down as well. Joss, can you tell us where we can get the book if we want to buy the book?
So it's being sold. I've put links on plenty of the social platforms, but it's through Wiley, through WH Smith, through Amazon. So put in the care of head and neck cancer patients for dental hygiene, dental therapists, and it will come up. I think various days it bobs up and down a little bit, but 10% of royalties for all the books that Wiley do is what you get, and then I'm donating that to charity. So I'll keep you posted. But yeah, thank you very much.
Amazing, thank you so much. It's good to know. It seems like it's very widely available. That's amazing how many it's sold already.
Oh,
like, so good for the charity.
Brilliant. Honestly.
Fantastic.
Well done.
How long did it take to do that?
It's 2.5 years. Actually, when I stand up to give my presentation at my post presentation for my last thing at the masters, it's 3 years to the day, and it's an incredible read. I mean, the people that are in there, I mean, a lot of those chapters you could actually put across to any cancer treatment, you know. It was just the book that I needed, because when you start in Max Facts with head and neck cancer patients, you have no additional training. However, the research has shown up some little things, which is good. So hopefully in time there will be things happening. But it's just, I sat there with my first head and neck cancer patient. I mean, you've got people with some major deformities and they're wanting support. And you can work as a hygienist. You've got those skills, but you just need that little bit extra. And so that was a book that I just needed to go to. And so it was just great, really. Those people said yes.
Amazing. Nicola is asking, do you know if the book is available at any local libraries yet?
I know, I would say, look, have a check, see, maybe suggest it to the library if they haven't got it. And what can they say? They might say no, but they might say yes. So they might not have heard of it, you see. So I know my local hospital, there's, well, 3 or 4 of the people from the hospital actually contributed to the book, but there's other people at the hospital that wanted the book. So they've asked for it for the library there. I know a lot of the universities are putting it into the libraries as well. So if they haven't got it, then I personally think they should, not because it's got my name on the front of it, it's because it's so interesting. It's so interesting, and it's purple. But it's just lovely. I'm so pleased it's happened. I mean, don't ever give me downtime because I think too much.
We'll all go into our local libraries tomorrow and request it and try and create another wave of orders. Anita's saying, thank you, everyone, very interesting. Amy's saying, you're also amazing. I really enjoyed listening to all of your journeys. Someone's anonymous person is asking, Joss, when are you next running a course?
So I'm running my Talking Mouth, Talking Cancer Care conference in Manchester on the 3rd of June. I've got Philip Lewis, general dentist, president of the Mouth Cancer Foundation. He's talking about what we see and find and what we can do in general practice. I've got Matthew Garrett, who's the head of restorative specialists. I've got Brian Webber, who's a dentist who's had head and neck cancer. I have Emma Hallam. She's an amazing radiotherapist. She talks about late effects. I'm so lucky to have her. And Eve Ferguson, she also wrote the chapter. She's a speech and language therapist, and I'm doing a little bit on mouth care. So yes, 3rd of June. And we raise quite a bit for charity at each one, because I don't make anything. The proceeds all go to the charities. So
Brilliant.
But it's so interesting. But thank you.
Maybe Joss, later on or tomorrow over the weekend, something like that, would you maybe pop the link to sign up just into the Ikigai group on Facebook? I think
Absolutely.
be
Thank you.
in there just so we all know where it is. Kat's again saying, amazing, all of you, so inspiring. Okay, so one for you, Jules. Someone's saying, I'd love to buy a practice. How was it getting planning permission for change of use?
To be fair, the change of use was really easy. Our premises were, as I said before, it was a newsagent's. So I think some of the changes now, you don't have to get a change to D1. But I think it depends on the council really. But actually, that was really quite a straightforward thing. CQC was really straightforward, believe it or not. Everybody always kind of think the sticking point is CQC, but actually, you know, kind of it was really quite straightforward. Most of the process actually was quite straightforward. It was just kind of doing your research and your groundwork, knowing kind of what it is that you want to achieve, and then obviously just taking each step at a time, and you know, kind of you'll get there.
Perfect. Ailish is saying, excellent talks, love them all, a credit to our profession. Alison's saying, thank you, everyone. Pamela's saying, Yvonne, I was a tutor for 10 years, which I loved, but gave it up as hygiene school closed down. I then went on to general practice and ended up burnt out. I then took a 5-year career break and came back last year, but at a loss what else I could do apart from practice. I have lost a bit of confidence along the way. Do you have any advice? Go on.
I mean, it's tough. Like, we only have 2 dental schools in Ireland, and I say the roles never come up there, you know. I would say even, you know, reach out, you know, to people like Yi and Ikigai and Siobhan, Kelleher, to find out, you know, what other opportunities are out there. Contact dental companies and get back into education slowly that way. But again, I say, like, once you put it out there, you'll start hearing back from people, and like once you admit it to yourself, I think, you know, ideas come your way then, and you'll only, you know, gain confidence again by putting yourself out there. But there's plenty of people to help.
Brilliant, thanks, Yvonne. Yeah, I think it's about finding your passion, isn't it? You know, and actually there's been a few, I know some of you were at like the Action conference a few weeks ago, and although, you know, I think when I graduated, it all used to be very much kind of dental conferences, all about perio, you know, and there's a lot of alternative things out there now to help you find what you're interested in, different career pathways that you can go down. And so I think it's just about kind of doing a bit of soul searching probably, and finding, you know, what it is you're passionate about. And then just like Jules said, that was great advice, you know, do it bit by bit, like do a little bit and then do another bit and see where it takes you, you know. Valerie's saying, not so much a question, but a big thank you, as I've lost my confidence due to a dentist. Oh, Valerie.
Oh, no way.
Anyone have any advice? Has anyone had that experience in the past, or any advice?
You know what? I think one of the reasons that I wanted to kind of be in, you know, kind of the setting that I am, is that I knew I wanted to treat patients a certain way, and the dentists maybe who I was working with, we kind of we didn't have the same idea, you know, kind of. So I think just try and remember that, you know, you're a clinician, you're passionate about what you do, and that's why you're going to clash with people, because you are so passionate about what you do. And I think, you know, kind of so long as it wasn't, you know, kind of a safety issue, which invariably these things aren't, it's literally just my opinion versus your opinion, you know, kind of in practice, then I think, you know, kind of just kind of remind yourself that, you know, the reason that you know, you feel like that you've, you know, you lost your confidence is because you feel so passionately about it though. So yeah, just chin up and go fight another day.
Definitely. I think it is. It's all about the team, isn't it? You know, it can be, you can have even a great team around you, but if there's one person that's like bringing you down, then it just affects you, doesn't it? And it, like you say, it's because we're also passionate about our profession. We all love it. So, you know, it is hard, but yeah, you can do it, Valerie. We believe.
Come on, girl.
An anonymous person is asking for you, Yvonne, I think, can you tell me how to get into teaching?
Again, I can only speak in Ireland. It's very difficult. I mean, the thing is, you could contact, you know, the tutors directly in there just to see if there is anything, you know, that you could do as a side with the students, you know, come in to give a talk about something or advice about working and practice and just get known in the area. The courses I inquired about with teaching and learning, you do have to be in an academic environment. So it's like a double-edged sword. You're trying to prepare yourself to go into teaching so that you're employable, but you can't do the course until you have the job. But again, I just think, you know, going to conferences, getting involved maybe with your association and offering to help out with conferences. Again, it's just opening the net, I suppose, to exposing yourself to people who could maybe direct you a bit more into the way to get into it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
I think it's so important to go to conferences.
Sorry, go, Joe,
because, sorry, I think it's so important to go to conferences. I know that a lot of the conferences are really struggling with people attending, and I know there's a cost to them, there's travel, there's potentially hotels or flights or whatever. And that's why I try and make my conferences quite relatively cheap. But it's just that it's so important to face-to-face. It's making those connections, it's networking. It's surprising who knows who and who you get introduced to. You're like, oh, I spoke to so-and-so and maybe they know so-and-so, you know, it literally is that tons of times.
I agree. I'm always, you know, saying to our students how important it is, because at the end of the day, you're minding human beings. And if you're not upskilling all the time, you know, you know, it's bordering on neglect, because in Ireland, you don't have to do CPD yet. So there's no onus on people, but you're right. Like, I love going to conferences. I always meet somebody new. I nearly always go to them by myself, and you know, there's lots of people who go by themselves, and yeah, it's just really important.
I always feel that when you come back from a conference, you just feel re-energized, don't you? You kind of pull from the speaker's kind of passion, enthusiasm about their particular subject, and you do, you know, kind of, and you get chatting to, you know, like-minded people, and it really does kind of energize your love for the role that you have as well. I think it's really important.
And it's important as well for building your profession, because like in Ireland at the moment, we don't have direct access, and I think we're completely underutilized as a profession here. But like, I go to conferences, and as you say, you hang out with like-minded people, and there's so many of us that are trying to push our profession forward, and there's so many of us that would love direct access, and it's great to meet these people, because you have to come at it, you know, as a group. You know, you're stronger as a group, but you only meet these people at conferences, because it's a very isolating career, our job. Like, I barely left my surgery. I started treating people at 8 o'clock this morning, and I went to the toilet twice, and I ate an apple at my computer, you know, for 10 minutes, and I didn't see a soul.
It really is isolating, isn't it? You know, and I think we do kind of get locked into our little surgeries, don't we, if that's where we stay.
Yeah.
I think you can just kind of forget that there is a big old dental world out there. And you know, if you don't kind of go to conferences, you're not reminded of that. And particularly to Val, who said that, you know, she'd had her confidence knocked. Well, that's just one dentist's opinion. You know, kind of, that's, you know, and I think that's really important, because we do have the patient's best interest at heart. That's why we do what we do, and that's why we love what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
I think
probably why our confidence gets knocked as well, because we're perfectionists. And like you were saying earlier about imposter syndromes, I say the majority of us have imposter syndrome. So then if someone says,
oh
you know,
yeah,
that wasn't right, or you shouldn't have said that, it's like you get completely knocked.
Yeah.
Okay. Amanda is asking, has anyone got any more webinars coming up on their specialist subjects? Anyone got any webinars in the pipeline?
not me.
Nope.
So I've got a few bits.
Joss has always got stuff going
I
on.
know. This is
Busy,
where I can
busy.
say no. Oh, so I'm going to Italy. I'm speaking at the National Colloquium of Professors, sorry. So that's being recorded. I'm also at the BSP this year. I've got my conference in June. I'm speaking at the Barnon annual conference, which is amazing, in Liverpool. I'm speaking at, there's another one. I'm BADT, I'm speaking at their conference too. I'm speaking at something else. See, I have to look at my diary, it's crazy now. But it's so good because of the people that you meet, because the people that come up to speak to me at the end, you know, it's who you connect with afterwards. It's great because, you know, I just talk about teeth and mouth care, and we know this stuff like the back of our hands, you know. But when you're speaking to other people outside dental profession, I just get really excited, you know, and they all get it, because they don't get it until they get it, and then they're like, oh, okay, I really understand it. I always make it personal. I make it personal to them, their families. It's not just about the patients, the separate entity, you know, this is personal about you. So yeah, but yeah, so I've got a few bits and bobs coming up.
Brilliant, thank you, Joss. One more question for Jules from Anita. She wants to know how you advertise for your dental practice, and also do you have like a dental plan that people can join?
Ooh, so basically, what didn't I do? So I did a mass leaflet drop. I had a radio ad. I social media and all of that. However, I think the most important thing was your reputation, because invariably, as with everything, it's friends and family recommendations. And I think that, and Google reviews, Google reviews really kind of, which I hadn't really come across before, but yeah, people kind of, it's like TripAdvisor, isn't it? You know, kind of, you go on holiday and you want to have a look at the restaurant on TripAdvisor, and it's been a real eye-opener, actually, the amount of people who kind of do go on Google and that, really. And as for the plan, actually, funnily enough, we've literally just launched the plan this month. So we haven't gone with Dan Plan or Practice Plan, we've gone with Lloyd and White, it is. And basically they it's much the same as Dan Plan and Practice Plan, but literally we've just kind of launched it this month, so I'll have to check back on you in that and kind of see how that's going. But yeah, you know, it is quite scary kind of going from 0 patients to kind of thinking, how is this gonna, you know, build into a practice? But, you know, just kind of slow and steady, keep going.
And Jules, how did you know when to start hiring other hygienists, that you had enough to support them?
Because I was fully booked for ages, and it just felt like the right time as well. So there's Trish, she does a Tuesday and a Saturday, and actually April's on maternity leave at the moment, but she's due to come back in a few months, so that will hopefully give me a Monday off, and then I'll have 2 days off consecutively. So
do you find extra pressure because you're responsible for people now?
Yeah, that's the one thing that kind of keeps me up at night, along with, you know, kind of, did I check that patient's medical history, you know, at like 4 o'clock in the morning? But yeah, you know, but I think if you kind of focus on that kind of takes away from the love of what you do. And I think if you just focus on the patient in front of you, then, you know, kind of, I think for me, that's kind of, you know, what you're doing it for, and hopefully that's the right thing.
Yeah.
Anita's just sent a little follow-up question saying, what's the main difference from how you used to work, Jules?
Oh, well, basically I used to work in 20-minute appointments, and it was back to back. I didn't have a nurse, so I didn't have time, Yvonne, like we were talking about before, about, you know, kind of empowering the patient to kind of take control of their own oral hygiene. And, you know, kind of, whereas now the appointments are longer, so we've got Ian done on the doorstep here, haven't we? So I've done a lot of Ian Dunn's courses, and so yeah, so that's what we do. We just spend a lot of time kind of talking about oral hygiene, get them back, and when their bleeding's under about 30%, we kind of say, right, okay, let's go, and let's kind of take it forward. So I think for me, it's all about being patient-centered, whereas before, like we said before, you know, kind of, you know, there's more to life than being an S&P machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Valerie's just saying thank you for your advice earlier to everybody. Thanks, Valerie. Okay, so usually we finish off with a question for you all. Someone has given us a really good one tonight. So, oh, sorry, just quickly, Anita's just asking, how long are your appointments in general, Jules?
So initially, our appointments are 40 minutes, and they are this. So for a new patient, it's 50 minutes, and for a recurring appointment, it's 40 or 50, depending on how long the patient needs.
Brilliant. Sounds like the dream. Sounds great.
You know what? Lots of people say to me, what do you do in all that time? But actually, it flies over, you know, kind of when you're doing the bleeding indices and you're checking the toothbrushing, and, you know, kind of you're seeing changes, and it kind of flies over. So
I suppose the difference is that you're in control of it, you know, so you're not doing that like kind of 20-20-20 or 30-30-30, you know, all day. It's that you know your patients probably well enough now that you can go, right, that person needs 40, that person needs 50, or, you know, whatever they need. So it's being in control, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually some of them, you know, some of the well-maintained, you know, kind of patients, they only need a quick 30-minute appointment, you know. But for me, the difference in how I work now to how I was then is being patient focused. Yeah, I love it.
So our one final question that we're going to ask you all, so we'll get you to answer in the order that you all spoke. So Joss, then Jules, then Yvonne. Someone is asking, saying, you're also amazing. I'd love to know, what is your one goal for 2023?
What is my one goal for 2023? I did have a goal and I can't remember it. Not very good, is it? It's obviously not a very good one, is it? I'll have to think of another one, I think. Just to keep doing as we're doing, really. Keep learning, keep, you know, kind of keep motivating and keep being motivated, you know, and just keep on with the fight, really. But it's not a fight, I love it.
Anyone else?
For me, it'll be graduating. I'm chuffed to bits with that, because I never ever thought I'd be able to do, well, not a degree, because it wasn't a degree when we did it, Jules, was it? You know.
No.
But, so yeah. So my goal is to do more stuff for the charity. I love the charity, and I love doing what I do with my head and neck cancer patients. So yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. When are you due to graduate, Joss?
12th of July.
Okay, so dissertation all done and everything?
No.
Oh, okay. We're not allowed to mention the
I've
D
got
word, are
Brooks
we?
But it's all good. It's nearly done, you know. It's a last bit of tweaking.
Almost
It's
there.
fine. See, if you see me on
Yvonne?
Facebook at the middle of the night, you know what's going on.
Yeah. Procrastination is always good, isn't it? Yvonne, have you got a goal for 2023?
I do. I want to be involved in changing the profession, our profession within Ireland, and hopefully find a master's as well that I want to do. I'm just in between a few of them at the moment, but just focus on trying to get us seen as a profession within here.
Yeah, I feel you could 100% lead the direct access revolution in Ireland, Yvonne. I believe in you. I'd listen to you.
Exactly.
You can do it.
Thank you.
So that is pretty much all we've got time for. We've actually done really well at keeping to time. It is 8:30 on the dot. Well done,
I want to be so proud.
Timekeeping. You can tell we're all working. Yeah, we're all used to working to timed slots. Can't you? We've done really well. Thank you everyone for joining us. There will be another webinar in a few weeks' time. The details of that will come out soon. But thank you all for coming, and thank you to Jocelyn, Jules, and Yvonne for speaking for us tonight. There is the Ikigai group on Facebook, also the page on Instagram. So if anyone has any further questions for the ladies, I think you're all on there, aren't you? I'm sure on the group. You can always pop them in there. And are you three quite happy for people to kind of message you and things if they want advice? And
Yeah.
Perfect, amazing. Thank you very much. We will see you all soon. Have a lovely evening.
Thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you.